7 minutes, and the crowd really liked that one. That was the one that we had the most crowd shots, had the most hype, and we're even seeing a shot of CNL right now. They're like, yes, we did it. So.
Yeah, just barely. That was getting really scary, you know. CNL was definitely the dominant team overall. I feel like, though, their one weakness is getting a bit overconfident. So maybe after their series before, they were like, oh, we could just wreck these guys. You know, they're not that good. They lost to Mustang, who lost to Delta, who we just beat 2-0. But they came out firing, and everything missed, and they were so far behind, but just barely able to hold on until the end there.
Such, tough decision-making to make at the last moment there as well when the Kraken was pushing down. Let's take a look at this replay. Obviously, it's going to be a bit of a longer one. And basically, we could just talk about these two teams. What I was afraid of for Walnut, really, was that I didn't know how well Rona was going to work out in the late game because, again, he has to be doing that lifesteal and make himself valuable, whereas, obviously, Fortress will, just be able to do damage no matter what, essentially. And the game, I feel, overall was decided by the Sky play from both, laners, Ken and Queller. They were the ones making the plays, doing the damage, and it almost felt like everything else was secondary. We saw how important that was in the second-to-last fight there, where Ken missed his ult, and also we saw Leo's gauntlet didn't do the much-needed zoning that he would like, but I feel like, yes, both Ardens are important, but the damage that we're seeing from these Skies is so important. And I wonder if going into Game 2 we'll see a Sky ban from either of these teams.
I was thinking about that, actually, because they both obviously like to play Sky, but they both played it very well. So it's not like either team has a big advantage by banning it, per se, or having it, and they feel like their enemy team is not going to pick it, which I think they know that they would pick it if it's up.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll ban something other than Celeste to maybe bait out a Celeste pick and they'll pick Sky, or not exactly sure. I would expect that if Sky is up, they'll both pick it after what we saw.
They're clearly both very comfortable and very proficient at Sky. I still am waiting for the Arden ban though. It's not going to happen in the series.
Maybe it'll happen one time, like in the semifinals.
So it's not happening in the series because Arden was not. I mean, obviously Arden makes a big difference for both of these teams. It was not like, oh, Arden is the one that caused us the problem.
Yeah.
It was really Sky on both sides. The playmaker, the damage dealer. God, Sky is insane. One of the things about Sky that or at least I have learned over the course of this tournament, is how quickly it can kill, minions, the Kraken, as well as turrets. With using the ult and or just the B. You just blow it up. And, that's gives you, if you have any sort of slight advantage, if Sky is alive, if Ken or Queller is alive, you can kill Kraken twice as fast as you would with a normal comp. You can kill a turret twice as fast as you would with a normal comp. So it's really important.
Well, we're seeing a lot of these fights, and this is the one where, Gauntlet's not that great. Ken gets zoned out, and, or Gauntlet was quite good, actually, because it was on the side of TVT. Ken gets zoned out, they're able to take him down. Queller able to run away, kill that guy, and do a lot of damage.
Yeah, no, we're going to have to play this replay. That's fine.
Yeah. It's like these guys, they got such a big advantage through the early and mid game that we were very surprised, and we thought that they would be able to actually take this one, and it would really mess up the group, possible four-way tie, I suppose.
Yeah.
But now, with the win going towards CNL, definitely going to be more, as our feed kind of lags out there, definitely going to be a bit more standard, a bit more of what we were expecting.
Yeah. So our feed's going to come back in just a moment, no doubt. But I don't think it's going to be long before we have our picks and bans for the next stage of this match, as we are in our 4th of 6th match of the afternoon / evening / morning, wherever you are. But I would like to see maybe a Sky ban, just so we could see a different
Maybe like
comp
a
from these guys?
Fortress ban or something, you know? Because the Fortress was, it seems like Walnut's very comfortable on that Rona and they would want to pick it again, but the Fortress was doing big work towards the end. We do see a Rona ban instead by the opposite side, by codename L, and we do see Celeste ban.
So we are going to see Sky most likely from both sides again, but it's going to be Koshka coming in from Walnut instead of Rona, and it looks like Lolly is comfortable enough to grab that Fortress again. Actually, a Ringo lock instead.
That's very interesting. Of course, Arden on both sides,
Of
no surprise
course.
there. We do get Lolly on Fortress once again. I don't know about this, to be honest. I guess what it is just TVT wanting to mix it up. Maybe they're saying, okay, even though we were ahead, we don't feel comfortable with that composition against CNL. Let's mix it up, try something different, see what we can do.
Yeah, I'm not a big Ringo fan.
So far, I mean, from what we've seen this tournament, for sure.
I mean, I am a big Ringo fan. I think the character's like really well designed, and like I play them all the time in solo queue. But I mean, in competitive play, I think there are better options, especially with the current draft pick, or the lack of draft that we have in this tournament, where it's like you can choose anybody, and you could have Sky, or you could have Scarf, or Celeste. Not in this case because it was banned, but. One of the things that Ringo can give you, and we talked about this a lot already, is just that early game bullying and pressure. But I feel like Sky is a hero that is not as affected by this as someone like Scarf or Celeste is. And you would expect to see, as we did, Sky again for Ken, because he's so good at it. And I think Queller is also an excellent Sky player. This is going to be the first time we see him on Ringo in this tournament. He's getting bullied here hardcore. He's actually ganked. And Sky gets the kill.
Yeah. Along the line of thinking of what you were saying, like pick the Ringo, try to counter Sky in lane. You know he's gonna pick it again, but he's trying to overdo it, and it's a really great response by CNL to just say, we have Arden Fortress, we can do so much damage to you so quickly. If you move past that middle line in the lane at all, you are going to go down.
There has to be a name for this, by the way. You know, it's just the same sword in like the Vainglory intro, the sword that goes down. It's like, there has to be a name for this. It's got to be called like the Vein Sword or something. Someone tweet at us. I'm Prox Wolf, he's Brennavellas. Let us know. We need to know like about that sword. I want to know what that's called, because I'm sure there's a name for it. This game has actually so much beautiful lore and story for all of its heroes, so I'm sure there's probably a name for that.
Yeah. Someone out there from Vainglory, from Super Evil Megacore, is watching this, and they will let us know, I'm sure.
And we've called it many things: the Vein Sword, the midpoint. But it's perfectly in the middle of the lane, so it's a really cool thing that shows you Queller being jumped on here again, trying to escape to that turret, and we do see that Monkey jumps to save him as well. This ends up being a bad trade for CNL. But you know that it worked for them once, so it's not broken, don't fix it, I guess is the saying here.
Yeah, I think so.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But basically this time TVT was ready, and it did not work a second time.
Just trying to push Queller out of the lane. I mean, I understand what they're trying to do with this. Ken, once you, or rather Sky, once you get past like level 3, level 4, 5, you do begin to trade much better with Ringo, especially if you do get a bunch of support from your jungle and roam position players. So I feel like Ken is going to be totally fine in this lane from here on out. And as long as this game goes past like 15, 17 minutes, I think this should be like an easy win for CNL.
Based on composition alone, it seems that way. We talked about this earlier when we had Delta play, when they were trying to make Ringo work, and it just simply did not. And it's somewhat concerning, this trend to try to go for a Ringo and try to get that early game advantage. And it sometimes works out, but usually against a team that's so versed in the game, we just saw the longest game of this tournament. Not a hero that can be as game-changing, especially because his ultimate, his C, is not, an AoE fight-changing ultimate. It's like a mid-game. Okay, we secured the kill. We got some money, kind of ultimate.
Yeah, like do a bit of poke damage before the fight goes off, stuff like that. Maybe try to force a reflex block before they want to use it.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Ringo's a great hero, especially in the early game. And also, if you're playing, like, say, solo queue where you don't have communications with your teammates, so you kind of have to do your own solo kills, and you have to get these, secure these kills on your own.
That's why you see so many Ringo auto locks, like, at the very beginning of the draft pick.
Ken taking some serious damage here, but will survive. Arden's going to come and shield him. But yeah, that's exactly right. You see so many of these guys playing him in solo queue in you know, unranked play. If you're new to Vainglory, no doubt, like, you locked in Adagio lane first because you wanted to try him, and then some guy just like locks in Ringo afterwards, and you're like, oh, what? Everyone's had that moment, but I mean, I think he's a great hero, especially when you don't have comms with your teammates and you're solo queuing. But at the professional level, the impact of Ringo, I feel, is somewhat less than Sky's, especially in this tournament so far.
Yeah, from what we've seen, for sure, over here in China. And so far this game, I mean, only one kill at about 5 minutes. TVT somehow able to eke out a very small 1,000 gold lead overall. I wonder what that's from. I mean, let's take a look at the farm so far. It looks like it's mainly just Queller against Ken, up 15 minions there in the lane, so getting a bit more farm.
I think it's because Ken has roamed a little bit more, and Queller's just been sitting in that lane. We also saw a lot of gank attempts in the early game, so jungle farm is later. They're like a whole cycle later overall, CNL is.
Yeah,
I think it's just
those
two
up
things.
About 8 minions over Lolly.
Yeah.
So mainly just the farm overall.
Still a very even game, and this is not a massive advantage by any means. It's not even at like the point of one item each with this kind of advantage. So, as we are now hitting 6 minutes, obviously the gold mine is nearing its first cycle, so we're starting to get towards that immense payout.
Yeah, Ken gonna take this moment in time to go back and buy his Frostburn, the very, very key first item for Sky. I want to pick that up, and he just hit 6 as well. So this is a very nice timing for CNL. If they do want to go for a fight, maybe they could wait for Leo to hit 6 as well and then go for it.
Absolutely possible. I'm going to push this wave out and then go and check for the gold mine because they didn't have any scout traps, didn't have any vision. Monkey in very good position here, actually. Leo is going to eat some serious damage as a result. Sky's ult goes down. We are seeing Walnut drop quite low, and so is Queller. If Queller falls here, and there he does, this is going to be a big problem, and we're actually going to see potentially Walnut and Monkey go down, and that's going to be an ace at before 7 minutes. This is going to be an easy gold mine. In fact, they're going to 2-man it, and Lolly is going to go and steal as much farm as he can to maximize the effect.
Easy wipe there for CNL. Just everything went a lot better. More AoE damage. The Fortress, I feel, did a lot better than Walnut, whose ultimate really didn't have much effect over the end of that fight really at all. So CNL, a very good team fight, and they're going to transition and change that into a massive lead.
Ken's got to be careful. He was getting a bit aggressive there on that turret. He's actually just going to jump into the bushes and then go back. But this is starting to be, you know, an advantage that may hold on and carry over because this gold mine is such an important objective that they got so early. And they got that extra gold, and Ken gets more farm, gets more money. Ken is 1-0 currently, whereas there's obviously no kills for TVT, so that's a lot of extra gold he has as well. And I feel like Sky is the most impactful hero in this game of the 6. And so the more he gets farmed, the scarier he becomes. Queller does have, again, that massive CS lead, in fact now 20 CS up, which is part of the reason why the gold is so even, despite the fact that TVT has 0 kills.
Yeah, that's one of the things about Ringo. You need a huge amount of farm. Hold that thought. Being jumped
later,
on.
Queller.
Let's see if he could get away here. A gauntlet is going to be used, so no hope at all.
And look at this Sky ult as well. Monkey almost dies. I don't think they should dive this. This is a mistake. And Walnut is going to try to capitalize on that mistake. He does actually go down. He got too aggressive himself, but Monkey will survive. But again, this means an entire wave of jungle farm will be robbed from TVT. And every good team, every time you take a fight, this is the Chinese meta, you take a fight, any advantage, the first thing you do is you go to the jungle and take all the farm. And because everyone roams at such an early level in this meta as well, it's usually all there for you. It's always available to just go take all of it. Then you can back and or rotate into your own jungle to get that farm.
And it's interesting what Queller's doing, how he's building. From all the Ringos we've seen so far, we see Sorrow Blade come out first into like Bone Saw, sometimes Tornado Trigger. We've seen some breaking points overall. I think that's a great pickup. You're going to want that definitely, because Ringos have been surviving very well in these fights, but no one really has picked up a breaking point. Just many other, support-ish items, bomb saw, stuff like that. So I like the breaking point, and also the tension bow for that early damage.
Now, we're going to see a big fight here, and again, Ken's ult is going to blast out so much damage, and Koshka can't survive. Monkey is going to go down as well, and Queller alone is worthless in a fight like this, and that is going to be yet another ace. And this game is looking much more one-sided than our last. CNL is just wrecking face, and this game looks like it might end soon with how well they're doing here. In fact, they might even try to steal and take that first minion mine. With an advantage like this, I wouldn't blame them.
I'd say that CNL won the ban pick phase, but there wasn't even really a ban pick phase.
It's blind pick.
It's blind pick, so I almost would say that TVT beat themselves.
Oh, I mean,
I'm almost there.
the engagements that we're seeing here are just better as well, but when you're this far behind and you don't have that impactful ult, sometimes things go sour. Although CNL definitely way overextended here, that's actually the Chinese meta, Brendan. It's just
the overextension.
The overextension meta. It's like when you're ahead, get behind. It's like the anti-StarCraft golden rule.
Pretty much.
Yeah. It's like when you're ahead, take unnecessary risk. I'm like, no, that's not what you did.
Like, guys, calm down. Please just play a safe game. Like, do what has gotten you here instead of what has lost you games in the past.
Let's take a look at some of these stats. Queller not as ahead in farm as he was before because he spends most of his time through this mid game being dead and unable to get farm.
Yeah, interesting Beetle pickup there by Ringo, going for what looks like some lifesteal here. Wants to have massive sustain to keep that breaking point up.
I think that's a cool choice.
Yeah.
He just has to live.
I feel like Fortress, though, overall is like going to be outputting more damage than Ringo, and also will have better survivability.
That's the thing. That's what he's if you notice in all these fights, hold that thought, we're gonna have another one here. Look at Ken's impact on this fight. Queller is trying to use his life steal to stay alive, but he's gonna die, he's gonna get aced. He's always the last to die, which means his positioning is correct, which means that he's doing a lot of damage at the end, but
it's just not impactful enough. They're already behind. If a Ringo does get ahead, he can do massive amounts of damage, but I don't think we've seen a Ringo get ahead just because of how the Chinese teams like to counter the Ringo by having massive pressure on the lane very early on.
Yeah. So we're gonna see this this exterior turret fall. Ken is gonna go down for it though, because he way overextended. Or is he? There's that fountain of rejuvenation, bringing him back.
Yeah, and there we go. You do see the Koshka trying to jump in onto Ken, but
good positioning, good kiting, and if this is an ace, it's gonna be the game. Ken's still staying alive here. That ult actually not finishing off, and the first big Ringo ult still isn't enough to actually kill him here.
Wow.
I actually thought for sure he was gonna die, but no.
Just barely not. Getting that reflex up block up just in time. And so CNL will begin to further their lead. Only 2 more turrets are left, and we're only 13 minutes into this game.
Yeah. Well, that was this is definitely TVT's biggest moment, and they could have tried to steal the gold mine back, but they didn't. They definitely could have gotten it in time.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I think that was their one moment, as you said, to like take some advantage, but they were just still kind of scared. Like, look at the turret even. It's full health, full shields. It's just sitting there. There's no way they're just going to be able to push onto that. They have none of the minion mines. Interestingly enough, neither of the teams have picked it up. I understand CNL, with the massive lead they have, they don't want to
let them turtle and get that extra gold.
Exactly.
And they've also been too busy like wiping the team over and over again to even spend the time to walk over there.
TVT's like, oh, this thing exists. Let's take that out. Try to push it back a bit.
Well, CNL is looking for a fight, and if it's not given to them, they're going to steal farm. They're gonna clear the gold mine, make sure that they can get that second payout in 1 minute here. It's gonna be about 280 or so, I'd say, by the time that hits, so it's gonna be nearly a full payout, their second. And it's, oh man, here we go.
This is kind of cute.
Uh-oh.
It's gonna be game ending. It's gonna be close.
Yeah, they're going for it. Queller is safe, but look at that big giant gauntlet. It is reflex blocked, and Walnut goes down. Monkey goes down in moments here, and it's going to be Queller who falls, and that's going to be game here at 14:30. There's no way they can defend, even with the short respawn times here. That ace is going to give them the buff they need, that respawn, or rather that regen, and they're going to be able to take down turret after turret. They're so fed that even though the Kraken hasn't even spawned yet, they have the items that a normal team would have like 3 or 4 minutes later, because they are insanely fed at 20,000 gold, and they can just kill that Vein Crystal.
We'll see if they can get some kind of defense here. Lolly is very, very low. Gauntlet gonna come down.
All that Ken has to do is target that crystal. And that's exactly what he's doing. And down it will fall. And we are going to have CNL take that 2-0 lead and get the 3 points here that they were expected to get here versus TVT. So the first game was incredible. It was really, really awesome. Oh, even a ceremony.
I missed it. I wasn't watching. I was gonna rate down.
He did like.
Oh, nice.
I was looking at myself in the PGM.
Was that
he
for
was like,
Leo? He seems like the kind of guy that would do that.
yeah, probably. I don't know for sure, but the first game was epic. The second game, like you said, almost felt like they were beating themselves with that composition. Ringo has not been successful in this
they
tournament.
got so close to beating CNL, something that no one has been able to do so far. But then they mixed it up, which is an interesting choice. But I'm sure they'll go back and look at those games a little bit later on.
That's right. Well, guys, coming up next, we're going to have Delta versus TVT, so it should be a decent one. But before that, we're going to take a short commercial break. See you guys in just a few minutes.